Welcome to The Explainer. When you think of silver, you probably think of jewelry, maybe some old coins you have tucked away. But what if the next electric car you buy needed over 2 pounds of it just for the battery? Today we're looking at a huge shift in technology that could light a very powerful fuse under the entire global silver market.
So let's dive right in. Could one new type of battery really cause that much of a stir? It's a heck of a question, and the answer isn't buried in a mine somewhere. It's being built right now inside the next generation of electric cars. And believe me, it could change things a lot faster than you might think.
Take a good look at this number, 1 kilogram. Now, for those of you who follow precious metals, you know that's about 32 troy ounces. That is the incredible amount of silver that might be inside your next car battery. So, how in the world did we get here? Well, it all comes down to 2 very big companies. All right, so first up, let's talk about the silver catalyst. This is really a tale of 2 companies. The world's new #1 electric vehicle maker, BYD, and the tech giant we all know, Samsung.
First, you've got BYD. You might not know the name as well as Tesla, but they've already blown past them to become the world's top EV seller. And they're going all in on something called a solid-state battery. Think of it as a much safer, more powerful version of the batteries we have now. And get this, their timeline is really aggressive. They are locking in their supply deals as we speak, in early 2026.
So that brings us to Samsung. What's the problem they're trying to solve? Well, in current batteries, these tiny little needle-like things called dendrites can start to grow inside. Think of them like weeds in a garden. They can cause all sorts of problems, short circuits, even fires. Samsung's fix is, well, it's pretty brilliant. They figured out that adding a super thin layer of silver stops those dendrites cold. Okay, so let's get into the numbers, because this is where the story gets really wild. We are talking about a coming demand shock that is, well, it's unlike anything we've seen before. Just look at the difference here. Your typical EV on the road today, it's got maybe 50 grams of silver in it, give or take. But this new solid-state battery, we're talking up to a full kilogram. That's not double, that's not triple, that is a 20-fold increase in every single car. So what does that mean for the big picture? Well, the entire world mines about 25,000 tons of silver a year. That's everything. But if just half of all new electric vehicles were to use this new battery, they would need 40,000 tons of silver. Do the math. That's 160% of the entire planet's production for just this one application. Right, so the obvious question is, why don't we just mine more silver? I mean, it seems like the simple solution, doesn't it? Well, it turns out it's not that simple at all. And the reason why is a stubborn little fact about where silver actually comes from.
Here's the thing that most people don't realize about silver. About 70% of it isn't mined on purpose from a silver mine. It's actually a byproduct. It's the stuff that comes out of the ground when miners are really digging for industrial metals like copper, lead, and zinc. That means you can't just decide to turn on a silver spigot.
And that problem is made so much worse by time. Even if someone discovered a massive, pure silver deposit tomorrow, a huge one, between getting all the permits, doing feasibility studies, and actually building the mine, you're looking at 8 to 12 years before you see a single ounce. That does absolutely nothing to help with a demand spike that's just around the corner.
If you're finding this explainer interesting, it would really help us out if you take just a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. That way, you won't miss what's coming next.
So we've got this massive new demand coming, and a supply that just can't grow to meet it. But hold on, there's another major piece to this puzzle. There's a big geopolitical move happening that could tighten the screws even further for everyone else.
So earlier this year, China put some really strict new export rules on refined silver. Now, why does that matter so much? Well, they control up to 70% of the world's supply. And a lot of people are saying this strategy looks awfully familiar. It's a lot like what they did with rare earth metals back in 2010, an event which sent prices through the absolute roof.
So what's the end game here? It's pretty clear. These rules give China the power to make sure that its own companies, its national champions like BYD, get all the silver they need. Meanwhile, their competitors around the world, well, they might be left out in the cold. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. You have demand about to explode, you have a supply chain that's stuck in neutral, and you have one country with its hands on the steering wheel. What's the timeline here? When do things actually start to move?
This isn't some far-off science fiction story. Just look at BYD's own public roadmap. They're signing the big supply contracts as we speak. We're going to see demonstration cars hitting the roads next year, and mass production ramps up right after that. The train is already leaving the station.
There's an old saying about how markets work, and it really applies here. It goes, the smart money doesn't buy after the news breaks. The smart money buys when the pattern becomes clear, but before the crowd understands what's happening. And that's the key. Markets look ahead. They don't wait for the millions of cars to be sold. The big price moves happen the moment the future suddenly comes into focus.
So, think of it this way. The demand bomb hasn't gone off yet, but the fuse is definitely lit. And it seems to be burning fast. All the pieces are in place for a really historic shift in the silver market. We're talking about a timeline that's now measured in months, not years. So the question is no longer if this huge new demand is coming, it's when.